Hello, everyone. It's Jim Canfield. I'm president of CEO Tools by Aprio and author of CEO Tools 2.0. I'd like to share with you what I think are one of the most mission critical tools that we could possibly have at our disposal right now. They're both quarterly tools. And the reason I feel like they're so important is we're in a pretty difficult business environment right now. And at the same time, we're beginning a new quarter on April 1st. These two tools, one is specifically aimed towards aligning your team, and the other at creating an organizational trust and communication inside the whole organization. So I'd like to share those two tools with you today. The first one is the Quarterly Priority Manager, or as we affectionately call it, QPM. It has a very specific purpose to align your team. It's deceptively simple. As you can see, it's really a table that lays out the key priorities for you and each of your team members. In this case, here's how this tool works. We start, the leader goes first. You lay out your top 5 priorities in order of priorities. What are the things that are going to take the bulk of your time, energy, and effort over this next 90 days? Where's your attention going to go? Where's any capital you're going to deploy? What are the things that are going to take your interest and are going to have you focused, and put those in order of priority. Next, meet with your team. Give everybody a copy of your priorities, ask them to read through it, and then give you feedback. Ask if these feel like the right 5 things for you to be focused on right now. I know what you're thinking, and I didn't know either when I first started asking for this feedback, what feedback I would get. And to be honest, I didn't get that many instances where people would say that shouldn't be on my list. But I'm a firm believer that if you want to change the culture of your company or the results that you're getting, you change the questions that you're asking and the conversation that you're having. You want to change your culture or your results, change the questions and the conversation. This tool did that very well. People would ask, well, why is that a 2 right now? Well, that's a really good conversation to have for me to explain to the group why a particular priority is my second highest priority. That gets everybody understanding where I am at any given moment. The next week, I meet with each member of my team, and they've previously prepared their 5 top priorities. I read through them, and this gives me a chance to influence what they're working on. I may accept them as they are, or I may decide to influence them. Notice I'm not telling them what to do. I'm just asking questions that will influence the way they're thinking about their work. I may say, for example, this one you have is a number 4. How would you feel about moving that up to a 3 or a 2? I'd like to see more emphasis on that. And then I listen. They may have a very valid reason why it's a 4, or they may agree that it could move up to a 3 or even to a 2. I do that with each team member. Then the following week, once I've set everyone's individual priorities, we meet as a team. And one by one, each member of the team reads out their quarterly priorities in order of priorities to everyone else on the team. I've never seen anything that broke down walls and barriers between individuals and departments any faster than when everyone started sharing their priorities. See, one of the things I notice is people believe that they judge themselves by their intentions and everyone else by their results. So you see, they know the background on their own story, and they give themselves enormous amounts of grace, but they judge everyone else more harshly and more judgmentally. Once they start sharing these results, they realize everybody's busy. See, they all think they're the busiest and hardest working person on your team. And they start to realize everybody's busy. I watched the group move from a group of very strong individual contributors to a well-orchestrated, interdependent team. They could depend on each other, and they saw how each of their projects were influenced and directed by each other. The way it showed up is they would reach out. Wow, that's big what you're working on. How can we help support that? What can we do to help your team accomplish that? And they begin to work on those priorities together. Once all the priorities are set and everyone's clear, then we go out and do our work. At the end of the quarter comes the middle column. How did we do? Did we get it done or not? If we got it done, was it enough to celebrate? I'm always looking for reasons to celebrate. If we didn't get it done, what's the disposition of it? Does it roll off or does it roll over? There may be a number of reasons it rolls off. Maybe it's time bound for the first quarter or the second quarter, and we won't have another opportunity to do that again until next year, the same quarter. Or maybe it rolls over. If it rolls over, does it go up in priority because now time has created more urgency? Or does it go down in priority? Maybe we're not getting the response that we'd hoped for, and we're not as interested, or our interest is waning, but we're not ready to do it completely yet. Either way is fine. It just allows us all to understand where we stand. Once everyone has completed their check-in, the items that have rolled over to the next quarter are accounted for. Any additional items are added, and that becomes the first column of their next sheet. Now you might be wondering, why is that next quarter on this quarter's sheet? Well, there are two reasons. Number one is, I don't like for things to come to an end. It's just too hard to get the ball rolling again. I like for things to flow one to the next. That creates a sense of urgency on an ongoing basis. The other thing is, I'm using a little psychology here. How many of you have binge watched the Netflix show? You know, where you've got that 15 seconds before the next one starts and you have to make the decision? Well, it has a predictable pattern, doesn't it? They show you a few clips of that next show. Hey, look what's going to happen in this next show. You really ought to watch it. And if you choose to, then you watch the show. And at the end, what happens? They say, hey, Jim, I know it's 1 a.m. and you really should be going to sleep, but look what's going to happen next. Right? They suck us in. Well, I want the same thing here. I want us to start the quarter by saying, here's what we're going to do. I want us to do those things. And at the end of the quarter, say, here's how we're launching into the next quarter. I want to launch into the next quarter with a sense of urgency, an ongoing sense of energy that creates bigger and better outcomes, not just limping along. Too many times I see companies that limp into the next quarter if they even notice a quarter started. I think you'll find if you use this tool on a regular and ongoing basis, you're going to find your team more highly aligned, more highly productive, and accomplishing a lot more than they did before. In addition to the quarterly priority manager, the second tool that happens every quarter is the overall quarterly business review. This is where we want to communicate the results of the company to as many people as possible. Here's what we thought was going to happen. Here's where we actually stand. Here are some things that worked. Here are some challenges we're still facing. Here are some people who helped us along the way, some recognition of those who contributed, and here's where we see us heading next. Especially right now when people are in a time of uncertainty, being able to create some clarity, share what's working, and frankly, share what's not working so well and some challenges you may be facing. That helps people realize, it raises the level of trust by realizing that you're being open and honest about what's really happening in the company. I hope these two quarterly tools will help you run a better business. There's a lot more tools in the book, CEO Tools 2.0. And if you want electronic copies of any of these tools, my email is below, jim.canfield@ceotools.com. I'm happy to send them to you. I hope you'll enjoy using these tools, and they'll have the same great results for you as that they have for our Aprio clients and our CEO Tools clients. I'll see you next time. Thank you.